Hello again, this is Entropy.
And this is Lucifer.
Today we're going to talk about the esoteric meaning behind this symbol, the symbol of the Baphomet. Both Lucy and I, being involved in Satanism at one point in our life, are both familiar with the Baphomet from a satanic point of view, but the Baphomet was never intended to be satanic. That is a creation of the founder of the so-called satanic church, Anton LaVey. Of course, you'll find this image in the Satanic Bible as used for a symbol of Baphomet and thereby a symbol of Satan. LaVey claims that he found this symbol in an ancient manuscript on magic, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. I'm going to give the first link down here in the description box will be to the Church of Satan, where they explain where it was that LaVey claims to have gotten this idea that this Baphomet symbol is evil. The stars, as they put it, right side up with the point at the top, is intended to represent man. The Satanic Bible describes this, and you can find it in detail here on this website. But inverted with the point side down, with the two-pointed part of the star facing upwards, supposedly, according to LaVey, a French occultist, Stanislas de Guaita, in a book called La Clef de la Magie Noire, he found this book, LaVey did, and this is what he read out of it, and therefore he believed that this symbol that LaVey created, basically, was evil.
I'm reading from the website listed here. After describing the point up pentagram as a white light symbol of man, voluntarily rejoined in the providential plan, de Guaita notes, but oriented in the opposite direction, the pentagrammatic star is nothing more than a symbol of iniquity, perdition, blasphemy. Its 2 points in the air become the horns of the foul goat threatening heaven, and whose head is framed with a stellar pentacle, with its low ears in the side branches, and its beard is disorder in the single lower point.
Even on this website, it states, prior to the worldwide press given to the Church of Satan, and later the publication of the Satanic Bible, the now familiar goat/pentagram /quote Leviathan graphic has not been used as a prime symbol for Satanism. Our younger readers may find this hard to believe, but it is a fact. So this was not originally a satanic symbol, and the symbol of the Baphomet meant entirely something different before the church incorporated, the Church of Satan incorporated it into its particular belief system. Let's first look at the Baphomet itself and notice that, of course, the Baphomet is an androgynous figure. Of course, because of the Christian church, we have become to associate androgyny with some sort of inherent evil. But many cultures around the world, for many years, long before Christianity, long before Judaism, have associated androgyny with spiritual enlightenment.
You can see androgyny in Buddhism and Hinduism in their pictures. These images, even throughout ancient religions. In some places, androgyny or androgynous people are considered wise and even divine.
They're revered in some places.
You even have the two-spirited people as well.
The Native Americans generally consider what they call two-spirited people to be wise because they have both the understanding of the male and female within them. So this figure of the Baphomet is, to begin with, is supposed to symbolize wisdom and understanding because of the fact that it is androgynous. The Hindu gods, many of them look androgynous, as well as what are called bodhisattvas within the Buddhist faith. These bodhisattvas are higher sentient beings that have foregone, they have decided not to go into nirvana, towards home, towards their ending, and instead are working to help everyone else get to nirvana first. They have made a vow that they will first get all sentient beings to nirvana before they themselves will go there. So if you look at the images that I'll be putting up here, you could see that many of these entities, these higher sentient beings, are very much androgynous.
For gods who are androgynous, you have, like, for example, Krishna. Krishna is very androgynous, and even in some pictures of Siddhartha, Buddha, is androgynous.
So, at least in Eastern mysticism, that this is supposed to represent wisdom, which brings us back, of course, to the topic here of Baphomet. Now, what does the Baphomet mean? What does the Baphomet represent? Where does it come from? Especially in the Eastern culture religion of Taoism, which may actually be it is definitely one of the oldest religions on the planet that is still practiced. Taoism teaches the yin and the yang, the male and the female, as one in the yin-yang symbol, because they considered that the more spiritually in tune that you become, they actually think that the more like the opposite sex you become, the more androgynous you become. So this is a symbol of wisdom and understanding and spiritual enlightenment. The use of the Baphomet symbol as a symbol of evil is not unlike, since we are talking about Eastern mysticism, it's not unlike this symbol here, which everyone recognizes as the swastika used by the Nazis. But what you may not be familiar with is the fact that the swastika was originally used by the Buddhists. Now, it is a symbol.
The swastika represents the sun and also means well-being.
So as you can see, that symbol has been used, it's been taken and used now for evil. Also, this symbol of the Baphomet has been used for evil. And the first to use it for evil, here we're going to be reading from the second reference that we have here in the description box. This is the another website that we're going to be using to describe the Baphomet.
Eliphas Levi, who drew the full-figured goat of Mendes, translated Baphomet as a reversed composition of three abbreviations, Tem, Af, Ab, standing for the Latin Templi, Hominum, Pacis, Abias, the God of, the temple of peace among all men. Levi felt this to be a reference to King Solomon's temple, which he believed had the sole purpose of bringing peace to the world.
Here are the two sketches that Levi first came up with. The first sketch, we were representing the good orientation, and the second sketch representing the evil. So this was something that was created some time ago and then found later by Levi, as already mentioned. You could read the article for yourself, getting into more detail about this. Specifically, what originally it was used by the Knights Templar, this Baphomet. Here in the third reference in the description box, I simply have a Wikipedia article about the Baphomet. It was the worship of this that caused the Knights Templar to be called heretics and evil, and therefore stamped out, or at least attempted to completely be stamped out by the Catholic Church. Just reading directly from the very beginning of the Wikipedia article, Baphomet is a term originally used to describe an idol or other deity that the Knights Templar were accused of worshipping and subsequently incorporated into desperate occult and mystical traditions. It appeared as a term for a pagan idol in the trial transcripts of the Inquisition of the Knights Templar in the early 14th century. The name first came into popular English usage in the 19th century, with debate and speculation on the reasons for the suppression of the Templars. Well, not going into great detail about the Knight Templars, I think most anyone who will be watching this video already knows about the Knight Templars and how the Catholic Church went against them, and this is where we get the Friday the 13th and so on. This has all been pretty much beaten to death with the Dan Brown novels and the movies about this, and I will probably be discussing this in a little more detail later in another video. But this is what is proposed as to who it was exactly that the Knights Templar were actually worshipping by worshipping this so-called deity, the symbol of the Baphomet.
If you look at the Baphomet carefully, you'll notice that one hand points up and one hand points down, and that means as above, so below.
A reference to those things that go on in heaven or heavens also go on here in earth. So this earth is sort of a mirrored image of the things that are going on in the heavens, or heaven, however you want to think of it. Now, why did the Knights Templar worship this? This has come to be depicted as this evil, satanic entity. Well, here you can find this also in the second reference that we used, but here in the fourth reference we have Templar history. In order to hide things, a lot of these esoteric schools, like what we now call the Freemasons, the Knights Templar, places like that, will use what's called a cipher to hide what they are actually doing. This is in our fourth reference here. It is called the Atbush cipher theory. You, of course, could read this for yourself, but I'll read it here for you. In order to understand the Atbush cipher theory as it relates to the Baphomet mythos, it's first important to examine the origins of the code. As early as 5000 BC, scribes writing the book of Jeremiah used what we now know to be the Atbush cipher. This cipher is one of the few used in the Hebrew language. The cipher itself, Atbush, is very similar to the substitution cipher. A substitution cipher is one where each letter of the alphabet actually represents another letter. In this case of the Atbush cipher, the first letter of the alphabet is substituted for the last, the second for the second, last, and so on. The letter A becomes Z, in other words, and the letter B becomes Y, and so on. Here, if one writes the word Baphomet in Hebrew, now remember Hebrew letters read from right to left. The results is as shown below. Baphomet in Hebrew, right to left. Taf, Mem, Vav, Pe, Bet. Now if you apply the Atbush cipher, one of the men who worked on the Dead Sea Scrolls actually came up with this. Dr. Hugh Schofield, he was one of the original researchers working on the Dead Sea Scrolls, actually used this cipher with the Baphomet to come up with this. Applying the Atbush cipher, Schofield revealed the following. Aleph, Yud, Pe, Vav, Shin results in Sophia, a Greek word written in Hebrew right to left. Now, as you know, Sophia is the divine feminine. So, what the Baphomet is actually intended to be is a substitute symbol for Sophia, the divine feminine. Now, you understand that even though the Knight Templars were Catholic, this was a time when people still had the idea that the Mother of God, the divine feminine. So here we have a symbol that is considered evil by so many because, again, the Christian Church has made it evil, made it look evil, again, for the same reason that they've done so many things over the years, and that is to keep people from understanding this simple fact that there is in the Godhead a divine feminine, a feminine representation of God.
The divine feminine has been with us for a very long time. Has gone under different names, from Sophia to Ashera to just names. Also Isis and Gaia. As we know, the divine feminine has been shut off for quite some time, and now she's making her way back.
The church does not want people to hear about the divine feminine and these things, and they have actively pursued these people in the past and will continue to pursue them now and into the future. The church is not liking things like the Da Vinci Code and things like that have come out lately. I am currently reading a book, maybe even going to read more than one, about the Da Vinci Code, and I may do a video on that later. But anyway, that is what the Baphomet symbol means. The Baphomet was intended to be a cipher, something to represent something else, and in reality the Knights Templar were, from what most people believe the Baphomet actually means, were actually worshiping the goddess Sophia, or the divine feminine, what the Catholics now refer to as the Virgin Mary, or the Mother of God. So there you got it. So this is not something that is, a great mystery. You can find these things out for yourselves, and please feel free to look over what we have here in the description box, the different websites, because I think you might find this interesting, and there's a lot more information in these websites than we're giving you here. So this is just a basic description of what the Baphomet is all about. It is not it's not evil. It's not meant. It was never meant to be evil. It was meant to be a representation of the androgyny of the Godhead and of Sophia, the Baphomet and Sophia. So Baphomet would be sort of the opposite, the polar opposite, the male-centered aspect of the Godhead of Sophia. So that's that, and that's what this means. So I guess that's it for us today. This is Entropy.
And this is Lucy.
And we're signing off. Bye.